Hello everybody, ProtoFoxy here, coming back at you with another video, and today we are going to be going back into the Pioneer format as we take a look at this deck here. Now, for those of you who don't know what the Pioneer format is, it is a non-rotating format that starts from Return to Ravnica block and then goes up, has its own ban list, stuff like that. The fetch lands from Khans of Tarkir, the allied pairs, those are banned, but you got another group of cards that are banned. And admittedly, as I've said in previous video, I'm not a big fan of the format myself. I just think like it's basically a standard 2.0, and I'm not a fan of standard, but a lot of my friends play it, and I had a lot of the cards that I just had laying around because I buy up challenger decks for different reasons. I think they're great purchases, to get in on an F&M if nobody's playing anything else but standard. And it kind of was created with the thought process of giving cards that aren't necessarily good enough to be in Modern or Legacy just some extended life, and I guess that is pretty nice. I do have fun with the format. Like I said, it's not my go-to for sure, but I definitely have some Pioneer decks that I've put together, and yeah, all that being said, let's take a look at this deck here. Today we've got Mardu Vehicles, a deck that was one of my favorite decks, and one of the reasons why I kind of played standard in that format where it was Kaladesh. Vehicles got pretty big. I actually really liked the idea of Vehicles, bought the Challenger deck, and had a lot of fun with it. And seeing that in Pioneer, while it's not necessarily a top tier deck, it's more a fringe deck, it's still a lot of fun. It really takes a lot of people by surprise, and I do play this deck quite often when I do play Pioneer, and does pretty well. It actually kind of takes down some top tier decks that I've played against. So it does fairly well. A lot of people don't see it coming, but it's just got a great mix of just really good cards in the format. So enough of all that. Let's go into the card selection here. We've got 4 Beaumont Couriers, my bad. It's a single generic for a 1/1 construct with haste. When it attacks, exile the top card of your library face down. You don't look at it. And then you pay a single red, discard your hand, sacrifice the courier, put all cards exiled with courier into their owner's hands. Great way to refill your hand. When you're running out of gas, you pop this guy, and then all of a sudden you get a hand of fresh cards. It's actually a very, very good card. A lot of people will kind of say, oh, is this card good enough for non-rotating formats and stuff like that, and I will make the argument that yes it does. This has gotten me out of so many situations playing in this deck, and then also playing in red deck wins in Pioneer. It's just a great card. And we've got 4 Scrap Heap Scroungers, 2 generic for a 3/2 construct. It can't block. You pay a single generic and a black. You exile another creature card from your graveyard. Return Scrap Heap Scrounger from your graveyard to the battlefield. Just a great recurring creature. I do play it. God, where else do I play this card? I play it in other decks. Pioneer, and actually even in EDH. Just a really great recurring creature, recurring threat. And then we've got 4 Toolcraft Exemplars. Single white for a 1/1 Dwarf Artificer. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if you control an artifact, Toolcraft Exemplar gets +2/+1 till end of turn. If you control 3 or more artifacts, it also gains first strike until end of turn. What else can be said? Really solid 1-drop in white. The pumping, it gets off of artifacts is really good, and it actually works really well in this deck because you're playing a lot of artifacts, because Vehicles and some of the creatures are artifacts. Just a great card in the deck. Then we've got 3 Bone Crusher Giants, 2 generic and a red for a 4/3 giant that also has an adventure, which is a single generic and a red, which is Stomp. It's an instant. Damage can't be prevented this turn. Stomp deals 2 damage to any target. Great removal. And then, when you cast it for its creature cost, whenever Bone Crusher Giant becomes a target of a spell, Bone Crusher Giant deals 2 damage to that spell's controller. Just a really great card all around. Just really good. I can't say enough about another card that has just gotten me out of situations in playing this deck and other decks that I've played the card in. Just an all-star. And all the click-clacking you hear around here in the video right now is my dog wandering around the kitchen. She sees me filming a video, and she's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? But anywho, we've got 4 veteran motorists. Is it 4? Yes, it's 4. 4 veteran motorists. A red and a white for a 3/1 dwarf pilot. When it enters the battlefield, scry 2. When it crews a vehicle, that vehicle gets +1/+1 till end of turn. Again, can't really say much. This is just a great card. The Scry 2 is real nice. Helps you filter through your deck. And when it crews, given that pump, just works out really well. And then we've got 2 Depala Pilot Exemplar. And now some builds of the deck don't run Depala. They'll run maybe a singleton. I like running 2. I think she's just really good. She is a single generic, or red and a white for a 3/3 dwarf pilot. Other dwarves you control get +1/+1. Each vehicle you control gets +1/+1 as long as it's a creature. And then whenever Depala becomes tapped, you may pay X. If you do, reveal the top X cards of your library, put all dwarf and vehicle cards from among them into your hand, and put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Just a really great legendary creature for the deck. Does a lot of work. Got a decent body. Helps out with other dwarves and vehicles. So it's definitely a good tribal card. Good tribal synergy. That is the creature package of the deck. We will now go into the deck's namesake here, which is vehicles. And we'll talk about some of the vehicles in the deck. We've got 4 Heart of Kirans. 2 generic for a 4/4 vehicle. It's got flying and vigilance. Crew 3. You may remove a loyalty counter from a planeswalker you control rather than pay its crew cost. When Smuggler's Copter was banned in various formats, this card took its place. Just a really solid threat. Can't complain about that. And then we've got 2 Aethersphere Harvesters. 3 generic for a 3/5 vehicle. Flying. When it enters the battlefield, you get 2 energy counters. Pay an energy counter. It gains lifelink until end of turn. Crew 1. Again, just really good airborne threat. Puts in a lot of work. You get your lifelink once you pay your energy counters. Just good stuff going on with that card. Those are the vehicles. Let's go into the spell package. So we've got 4 Fatal Push. Everybody should know this card by now, but if you don't, single black for an instant. That reads, destroy target creature if it has a converted mana cost of 2 or less. Revolt, once you get that online, you destroy a creature if it's 4 or less. If a permanent you controlled left the battlefield this turn. Just great all-around removal. Definitely an all-star. Good stuff there. We've got 4. I'll screw that up. We've got 4 Thoughtseize. Card needs no description or introduction. We're just going to look at it on the screen for a bit. Anywhere this card is legal, it's just an all-star. You play black in Modern, Pioneer, Legacy, whatever format that this card is legal in, you want it. Good stuff. We've got 4 Unlicensed Disintegration. A single generic, a black and a red for an instant that reads destroy target creature. If you control an artifact, Unlicensed Disintegration deals 3 damage to that creature's controller. Great removal. Little steep on the cost, but what it does for its cost, and especially, the fact that you're controlling so many artifacts with vehicles, and then you got the Beaumont Courier and the Scrap Heap Scrounger, that 3 damage is just can definitely be backbreaking. Just a great all-around removal card in the deck. So that is the spell package. We are now going to come into the mana base. We've got 4 Spire of Industry. Taps for a colorless, and then you pay a life, add 1 mana in any color. Activate it if you control an artifact. You control a lot of artifacts in this deck, so that's going to do what you want it to do. We've got 4 Aether Hubs, pretty infamous land card from Kaladesh. Enters the battlefield, you get an energy counter. Tap it for a colorless, pay an energy, and then you get to add one of any color. Another great utility land there. We've got 4 Blood Crypts. We know what those do. We know what they're there for. We got a single Sacred Foundry. We've got a single Inspiring Vantage. We've got, focus, a single Dragon Skull Summit. We've got a single Smoldering Marsh. I forget what set this was in. I believe originally it showed up in Amonkhet. Amonkhet, or maybe even one of the many different Zendikar sets. But a decent fast land because I didn't have 2 Dragon Skull Summits. Caves of Koilos, we got 2 of those. We got a Battlefield Forge. Then we got a single Swamp, single Plains, single Mountain. That is your mana base. So let's get all this stuff together and get some final thoughts on this deck. So that is Mardu Vehicles and Pioneer. And again, this was actually the first Pioneer deck I put together, along with Is It Phoenix, because I had the Challenger decks, and my buddies were playing Pioneer, and I'm just like, well, why not? I got these cards sitting around doing nothing. Let me put some stuff together and see what happens. And this deck here definitely stole some wins out of nowhere, because the group I play with, the local game store I'm at, didn't see this deck coming. A lot of people, again, Mardu Vehicles and Pioneer, sets on the fringe. Definitely not as popular as it was in Standard. Just kind of is an outlier, but it definitely is a good deck. You want to go ahead and jump into Pioneer relatively inexpensively. I mean, the Thoughtseize are pretty expensive, but I had multiple play sets when they were cheap, so that's how I got the 4 in there. But you put this one together, it'll definitely steal you some wins. It takes people by surprise. Nobody expects vehicles coming, and it still does do some decent work. All that being said, as you can see, we've got the sweet Pauper Guild playmat over here. Link in the description below so you all can get your sweet Pauper Guild swag. And with all that being said, if you liked the video, give it a like. If you did, maybe shoot a subscribe my way. I'd greatly appreciate that. And I'll leave you with this. Wash your hands. Wear your mask whether or not you're vaxxed or not, just to keep you and others around you safe. Be kind to your fellow human being, and I will see you in the next video.